It's like trying to win a car race.
Should be a good one.
And as you're driving, saying, hey, make it run better.
You could have a posse of waifus.
Starting off kind of strangely.
Slaying the land.
Welcome to the show.
This is insanity.
Taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week.
This info is pretty shocking.
Somebody's got to give an answer to this.
This is Augmented Reality.
You are watching my favorite channel.
I've not heard of them.
The Triple S League. Enjoy, guys.
Should be a spicy one tonight. Welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast, your source for news, leaks, and analysis of games in the gaming industry, coming at you live on YouTube and Twitch and archived almost anywhere you can find podcasts. This is Ash here with you, as always, with Psy Obsidian and Moontag. Good evening, folks. How are you doing?
Good. It is it's one of those days. It's getting towards winter.
It does get cold. Got to get out and do the yard work this week before the first snow. Looking forward to that. Not really. If you're listening live tonight, please do say hello in the live chat. Send us your questions and comments there as well. We'll read and respond to as many as we can throughout the podcast. And don't forget to slam that like button. It likes it rough, and it tells us and YouTube that you appreciate this content. If you're listening after the fact on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you can, we appreciate likes and comments and follows there as well. And don't forget, you could listen live here Tuesday nights / Wednesdays, depending on where you are in the world, right here on the Triple S League YouTube channel. Now I've got to be careful here to actually keep Moon on the screen, because for some reason if the window now see, there she goes. Now she's gone. Now she's back. If the window she's in gets too far behind other windows on my screen, she just poofs away, becomes a gray rectangle. So I'm just going to pop up my chat window and put it over here.
It's like a magic.
Yeah, exactly.
What devilry is this?
Yeah, I know, hey? And we'll pop out the Twitch chat window, put that over there, and then I can close this, and then hopefully everything works properly. So yeah, should be a spicy one tonight. We're going to be talking about what's going on with China, which is pretty crazy. It's ridiculous. But hello to everyone who is listening live. Mad King, Jasmine Greeno, Trakiran, hello, Psycho Spartan Chick saying it is in the 80s in Florida. That sounds like it's hot, but or cold. I mean,
don't know the conversion.
I don't know Fahrenheit. I'm sorry. What is it?
It's warm. It's very warm. That's it's like in the low 30s here.
That's pretty warm. That's pretty warm.
20s,
That's pretty warm.
Yeah. And Mad King, hello to you as well. Oh, I said hello to you. But anyway, hello again.
Yes, hello again.
And anyone else, any lurkers out there, we're glad to see you. So before we dive into the China news, there's a couple of other quick things we want to talk about. First, we should talk about channels announcement, Triple S League announcement. So you may have noticed over the last little while that we've appeared very busy, and that at
times a little distracted, and at times a little not around kind of thing.
So
but this is because we are working on something very, very, very cool and big and special that we can't talk about very much.
We can't talk about it very much, but we are working on a project behind the scenes. It's a project that involves a third party. It's not just a Triple S thing. We were approached to work on this thing, and it's a fantastic opportunity for us. We've been looking forward to this kind of a thing. We've been looking for this kind of opportunity since we started. Years ago. Now, Triple S League channel, podcast, none of it's going anywhere. I want to reassure everybody about that. This train is not stopping. But you might notice our video output is a little bit reduced over the next little while, next few months. But we're still here.
It's the next 2 months. And not even 2 months.
For a temporary period of time, our video output might be lower. However, I still am working on some video projects in the background.
Which thankfully coincides with the fact that there's very few games coming out in the next 2 months.
Well, so that's just it.
I'm happy about that.
There's nothing to make videos about anyway. XMEX says side face reveal. No, 50,000 K on the main channel. Oh wait, you know what I just realized, Sib? that it may happen outside of our control.
Oh,
So anyway,
Well, yes,
we'll
well,
just
I mean,
we'll just
yeah,
tease you all with that.
Technically, we'll see. We'll see. We are. I am going to be continuing doing my game news with Max Strat over on the Disability Channel. That has been going great. We've been really hammering that down. It is a good place to catch us to catch me and Max talking about news. They do a lot of other videos over there. It is a large organization of basically anybody and everybody who has some form of disability or another. It's some big names, it's some small names. It's very much a place where they collaborate to bring in just general like video content. There's a lot of it. I don't know anybody else, like personally, I don't know anybody else personally that's on the channel, and there is like dozens and dozens of them aside from Max. So it is a big pot of video content. So if you're interested in catching news from people who have a unique view on it, like check that out. And I mean, even if you're not, it's still a great place for a lot of subjects. They are trying to grow the channel. It's started out very small. They're still having a lot of kind of growing pains. But it's something that I've been really happy to work with Max on, trying to help them get that channel up and going. And the overall views have been really increasing on the overall channel quite a bit. So yeah,
the channel is called the Disability Channel. That's where Saib from right here at the Triple S League, plus Max Durat, who you may know from the Max Durat channel, guy we've worked with.
Our weekly show is one of the more polished of the.
It's definitely, no disrespect intended to the Disability Channel.
No, like I said,
it's definitely
it's a growing thing that
you guys have definitely.
And like I said, there are some big names that do major columns and do a lot of news and stuff like that at various really reputable places. But it is also the fact that the channel is growing, and it's very small, and it started out very small.
And they don't really have somebody organizing the visual. I get the impression there isn't really somebody who knows what they're doing in charge of like the marketing for it. So if someone out there wants to volunteer for that and has the skills, maybe you want to check it out.
Hit them up. Yeah, hit them up, and they're looking to expand as much as they can. So it's an interesting project, and it's been lots of fun working on it with Max. So yeah, it's been pretty good.
All right,
but news.
Yeah, well, so let's cover some more fun news before we get to the other stuff, the disgusting stuff that's going on with China and the Triple B gaming companies, as we call them. All right, so a couple of new tidbits from the Elden Ring. Now, there's not been, no new video reveals or anything. The team has been pretty quiet ever since their last reveal. But we got a little bit of info out of the Tokyo Games show. So Elden Ring producer, you see the headline here. The game is now in the final stages. It has no errand quests, and it has an unusual map. And they're planning to move forward quietly, as you can see here. And some of this information comes from translation posted on the Elden Ring subreddit. But this unusual map structure is something I'm interested in. But as far as the open world map, I mean, for anyone who's concerned that there's gonna be a lot of filler quests or fetch quests. Katayo, producer Yasuhiro Katayo, I'm probably saying that wrong, my apologies, says there are no errand quests, so I'm guessing that probably means no dull, boring fetch quests, no bland filler quests. It should all be cool, fun, exciting stuff. Of course, that's somewhat subjective, but when we check the game out, now I'm definitely planning to check this one out, we'll find out. Kateo also talked about the Elden Ring's map, and it's apparently a system in which you can go anywhere you want, but it tells you when you're in trouble, which I'm not 100% sure what that means, but I think it sounds like if you're heading into an area where the enemies are way higher level than you, that'll warn you about it somehow. There are some checkpoints in the open world that'll offer some degree of guidance, apparently, that you're going the correct way, but we don't know what form that takes. And there's also apparently physical map fragments that will be collectible on the open world field, and they'll mark where you need to go and create a beam of light in the sky to guide your way. So interesting. I mean, some of that sounds fairly common, but it sounds...
Well, the whole beam of light thing has been... I mean, it's pretty much a current go-to. I mean, it's in New World, it's in Genshin, it's in a ton of other games where they ping, like the map either pings or your points of interest are annotated by this big column of light. So yeah, it's a common thing.
Yeah, it is pretty common. But how the system actually works, how it guides you, I mean, I hope it's not a system that holds your hand too much, or that there's some options that you can select as far as how much guidance you receive. But yeah, that'll be good. It sounds like they're trying to do something unique with it. So we'll find out if it's as unique as they're saying. So like I said, not a ton more info, but some interesting looking tidbits. This game is looking more and more interesting all the time. Japan has a new prime minister who is
huge anime nerd.
He's a bit of an otaku, I guess.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a full-on election. He was elected. It sounds like, I don't know how Japanese politics works, but it sounds like it's like if the leader of the party in power steps down and then that party elects a new leader. That's sort of how he became the prime minister. So anyway, he's a big manga and anime fan. Apparently he's a big fan of Demon Slayer, although he hasn't seen the film. He has read the entire anime though. And his favorite character is Akaza. So there you go. He also said he wants to work on raising the income of the people involved in Japan's soft power industries like manga, anime, and movies.
Kudos.
So
I'm not surprised he didn't mention gaming, but I think it's gaming.
I imagine it's in there.
Well, it's not as bad. Like if you're a game developer in Japan, you typically are making pretty good money. But if you're an anime artist in Japan, or if you're one of the dozens and dozens of animators working for a studio, you make very little money. It's very much a passion project. The majority of the money goes to big name people and studio execs, and yeah, it's really rough. Like a lot of them have to have multiple jobs or be working on multiple projects at the same time in order to function.
Which sounds like an insane amount of work. How do you have any kind of a life?
And it really is. It really is an enormous amount of work that they spend a lot of time, dedicating their life to. And this is a really good thing, because this has been a problem for a long time. And anytime you have an industry that's like this, you don't want the government to stick its nose in it, because it causes problems. We've seen the worst that happens when you have a government program that kind of takes over your cultural thing. But if you just have a simple system that's very logical, that people can just file for, there's no judge or arbitrator sitting there going, you criticized the government a few years ago, therefore you will not be getting the subsidy. If you avoid that kind of stuff, then I think this is a good thing. I honestly believe that it is good for government to subsidize art through things like basically giving them like a lower tax bracket, just universally. Again, no picking, no choosing. Just if you're an artist that puts out X amount of content a year, you can file to have your income dropped if that is your primary source of income, right? Like, so no. Oh yes, I'm the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and I happen to be an artist on my side that makes, you know, one comic a year. It's like one comic strip or something like that. You know, make it so the system is just universal, targets low income people that do art like this, and it encourages it a little bit. It's not it's not a base, it's not like a universal basic income. It's like, hey, if you're having some success with this, you know,
no, you're talking about a tax relief. Yeah. And I mean, let's be honest. 99.9% of artists in the world are in the lowest possible tax bracket. If they're, you know, if that's their source of income, it's not. Sadly, it's very difficult to make a living in these creative fields. It's very difficult.
Well, I'm not saying how it exactly should be done. I'm just spitballing an idea roughly. The key point that I want to get across is that when you have a country like Japan, and it's a small country population-wise against the face of the planet, but they're creating something that brings so much hope and joy and happiness to people. It's like, it's good to encourage that. It really is. It puts your country on the map. It endears a lot of people to you. And then people are actively interested in you know, in how things go. And I really think
what happens if Japanese culture is popular worldwide? What happens? People want to go visit Japan, and they bring their money with them, and they spend it there, right? So
it's like the anime industry in Japan is absolutely huge. Like, it's huge because it's not only just, you know, it's not only just the anime that they sell. It's like, it's so much more than that. It's the districts that it creates in Tokyo for, like, you know, fans that come from all over the world. It's those things that fuel that. It's a whole bunch of other things. Even the koi fishing, pet fishing industry, where they farm koi fish for ponds and they sell them all over the world. Even that is impacted a lot by anime sales and cultural stuff, and they know this. They know that it's such a big thing. So, yeah,
it's good for Japan, for them, you know. So that's, I could see the government being interested in helping that industry out. Hello, Arturo. We're doing pretty well. Yeah. XMEX says, interesting thing to note though is a lot of Japanese animators are now shifting to work at Chinese companies and studios since they pay much better. Well, that's almost the perfect segue to talking about our other major topic, but there's a couple other things first. What's going on with Capcom, Seb?
So Capcom has made an announcement that they are moving to PC as their primary platform.
Okay.
This is huge news, and this has been kind of in this category. We've been hearing rumors about Capcom doing some really big moves. We've heard lots of rumors about Capcom getting into bed with Microsoft. This is now basically true, because they are moving as the primary source of distribution is now headed to the PC.
All right. Anything more to say about that? I mean, that is...
Well, there's not much. Like, they made this announcement. They didn't really, you know, they didn't come out with any, like, video games or anything to support that, but they did come out and just basically go, boom, this is interesting.
Now, why would they make that announcement? It's because, I mean, yes, I mean, they already distribute a lot on PC as well as console, as well as whatever else they do. What do you think the strategy is in coming out and announcing this?
It probably to get, like, it's probably a signal to their board or to their investors as much as it is them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
things like that, you kind of have to, like, anytime you're a big company and you're making big, you know, you're making big things, big decisions like this, you have to stand up, like, you have to report it, and you have to report it, you know, somewhat honestly. You can't just be like, me, whatever, right? Like you actually have rules that you have to follow, that that makes this stuff work and feel important. Capcom also hasn't been doing great in the stock market industry, so this is probably a move to try and bolster something. They haven't been public for a long time. I think they only became public like a year or two ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just kind of pulling that off the top of my head. But yeah, it's interesting to note, right? That they are making this move for some reason. And I think we're going to see that. I think this is something that is indicative of things to come. Right? This is definitely things that are they've been preparing for, and this is what they're going to do. Their incredible success with the what's the series with the I have to cough 1 second.
Series with the what? Sorry, it's hilarious to me how when you hit your cough button and yet Moon's got to mute at the same time. They're in the same house because they are live together because they are a thing, an item, a married item.
Yes, so
anyway,
Resident Evil.
Yeah. So it was.
I was waiting for you to pick that up because you're the one who plays the.
Well, you said the series with the thing, and I thought you were talking about Resident Evil, and I figured the thing meant. I
mostly meant the undead thing, but yeah,
the undead thing.
So, yeah. So, anyways, they're moving to PC going forward because an enormous amount of their sales were on PC, and they made more money with these recent releases onto the PC than they had been making on Sony for years. This is huge for them, and this is I hate to say it, but duh. Oh my, you mean that, moving to a platform with millions and millions and millions and billions of users is better than staying on a platform with a few dozen million? Really? Huh. Shocker. That's so bizarre. I don't know how any of us could have seen that coming. That's so bizarre. Oh dear.
I wonder if Nintendo will ever figure that out. That's a bag of worms that I don't necessarily want to open again, but yeah. You know what Capcom should really do, though, is fix their logo. This looks so weird. The negative space is filled in on all the letters except for the first C. And it makes the first C look like it's a different shape than the second C. But
Capcom.
I can't quite tell. I'd have to pull it apart in Photoshop to see if maybe they're actually exactly the same and it's just an optical illusion. But it looks like the first C is smaller than all the other letters. It's weird to me. I don't know. It looks strange. I know they've had the same logo forever and ever, and they're probably not going to change it. And it's a minor, stupid thing, but I just noticed it, and now it's bugging me. And now it's going to bug me every time I look at the Capcom logo.
Right. So basically, in an interview with the Capcom Chief Operating Officer, he basically said that we will be expanding our business of dedicated for dedicated game consoles, which has been the mainstream up till now, but PC will be the mainstream in the future. Next year and the year after, we want to equalize the ratio of sales to PC and dedicated consoles. Basically, this comes from the fact that they essentially were discovering that especially with the pandemic stuff, that the fact that they started making and focusing on more stuff on PC, they realized how much money that they were making.
Oh, I have to think RE8 did amazingly well.
Yes, and there's games that were ports to the PC that weren't even done well were doing better than they were on consoles. And it's like, oh, hey, if we actually designed for the PC and embrace that culture and embrace that whole system, we probably would, our releases would probably be doing twice as good as they were doing, on what we were doing right now just by itself. So yeah, that's huge. And again, it's this announcement and this realization that yes, they are finally realizing the importance of the PC culture. And hopefully that also includes modding in the future, because it would be amazing to see them really embrace that kind of stuff moving forward. Not for all their games, but for some of them.
Like imagine if you could turn your knife into a fly swatter and use it to swat Lady Dimitrescu, turn all of the zombies into Barney the dinosaur. I mean, just imagine. By the way, for those who aren't getting the joke, those already exist. Those are mods for the game the Barney one. The guy did that on the demo. I mean, he was really fast. But yeah. So if you want to get attacked by Barney the dinosaur, I mean, you can do pretty much anything. So, all right, everybody, you are listening / watching the Augmented Reality Podcast. It's great to see so many of you in the live chat. It's always quieter, but there's a lot of you who listen after the fact the next day, because we do this very late in North America, trying to get some of our, have a live show for some of our more Eastern audience. And so, the other hemisphere where it's already tomorrow. So thank you. But thank you for those of you who are joining live, and for those of you who are listening after the fact. Whichever way you want to listen is fine with us. We'd appreciate if you'd slam that like button, but also check out the Discord server. You can find the link in the description below. It's a great place where you can meet some great fun people who have common interests. If you're interested in video games, anime, movies, food, animals, there's all kinds of rooms. If you like memes, we got a great meme room.
So many memes.
And you can stay up to date about everything that's going on. Whatever we can tell you, because we can't give too many details about some of what we're working on, as we said earlier. But anyway, Also, if you are new to us, the Triple S League, check out our main Triple S League channel and subscribe over there for tons of other types of content. This channel is exclusively for this live podcast. We do a lot of other types of content over on the main channel, the Triple S League. You can find the you can find the link in the description below, not the description in the link. You will find the link in the description. And we'll be glad to have you over there. All right, then. Time for it to get a little bit spicy. So it's time to play. I shouldn't have brought the article up so fast, but time to play What's China Banning This Week? Well, guess what? So all of you game companies that like to put your virtue on display about how progressive and inclusive you are, while
game
at the same
companies and journalists
while at the same time bending over backwards to make sure you gain money in that lucrative Chinese gaming market. I know there's a lot of gamers over there, and you've made some compromises and engaged in just dipped your toe into a bit of hypocrisy to make a few bucks in China. But but it's all going to pay off in the end, right? Oh, except for the fact that they then they banned game time they've restricted gaming. They tightly control gaming time. The amount of time people can play video games. It's very, very low, which of course directly translates into low game sales. Because I mean, if you've only got 3 hours a week to play a game, you have a 40-hour game that's going to take you months to complete. But you're not going to be selling any of those deep, immersive, story-driven games with choice, those deep RPGs that give you lots of options, lots of deep relationships, lots of moral quandaries to struggle through. You're not going to be selling those in China anymore. Say goodbye to Mass Effect. Say goodbye to Dragon Age. Say goodbye to,
Anything
I don't know,
and everything.
pretty much
really.
anything. Baldur's Gate. So China is continuing their massive crackdown on content in games, not just how long their citizens can play, but the content in games, and anything that it deems more, immoral or degenerate, whatever. So that includes now same-sex relationships. How many games contain those? I'd say quite a handful.
Well, it's not that these are the games where this is focused. This is a game where this is just an option.
Where it's if it exists in there at all, it gets.
So Mass Effect is now banned. Anything, and again, I know we've been very upset with Mass Effect for a very long time, but I'm just using it as an example. Mass Effect's off the table.
Sure, Mass Effect. I mean, Andromeda was not a very good game, but regardless, the content it's getting banned because of the content, which is
Baldur's Gate, Skyrim. Because again, Skyrim, you just they just have an open-ended system. You put on a necklace of Mara, and you can go hit on whatever NPC you want, and it's not even scripted into the game as major events or detailed very heavily, or there's no actual scenes that portray anything like this. Again, this is Skyrim, Fallout, anything. All these games off the list.
It's free. It's freedom. It's freedom in the game, but if that option is available, no, that's not acceptable. But guess what else? Effeminate males, or basically any character where you can't immediately tell the character's gender. How do you feel about that, Blizzard? How do you feel about that, BioWare, EA? You can't immediately tell the gender of the character from obvious characteristics. That's considered problematic now in China.
Where's the cry out for that?
It'll be interesting to see. Where is the outcry? This has been going on for a while, but I mean, it's becoming more and more public. We'll give them, I don't know, we could give them a few days. See if they actually react to this. What about moral choices in games? Well, no, that's not acceptable. If players can choose to be good or evil,
or anything in between,
they don't think that games should give players this choice.
You have no choice. You just do as we say.
No, they have to be good. They have to be good and morally upstanding in whatever that means to the powers that be, which is of course, the Chinese Communist Party, and also alternate history. Bye Wolfenstein.
Yeah, that's one of the weirdest ones. Is it's alternate history. It's you now cannot show or have different dimensions.
Yeah,
again, this is Fallout. Well, I mean, let's face it, Fallout is probably perma-banned because of some
there are so many
choice
reasons.
lines from a Mr. Giant Robot.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, the Liberty Prime, which itself is kind of, I mean, well, let's not get into that. But yeah, that's a funny thing. You have Fallout that basically has all of these different factions. All of them are flawed. And you can, align. Our most watched video is, of course, best ending, where you try to make peace with all the factions, but except for one. They're all flawed. They all have error. They all have their upsides and downsides.
Yeah.
Even the Institute, which we're getting a little heavy in game lore, and we should probably just keep this more general. But yeah, that choice, that is, it's the exploration of those ideas. That's where real progress comes from. So this is just, I mean, yeah, it's censorship, and it's really interesting how the this article here is in Forbes, and the author, he spends a good a good chunk, a few paragraphs talking about the facts of the situation, and then the rest of the article, he goes into the problem, how this is a cautionary tale about being against free speech, and also the balance between security and freedom. So, and you know what, I would recommend going and having a read through this and putting some thought into it. Well, guess what else? The Chinese government has approved exactly 0 games.
Surprise, surprise!
In the past. Now, this says since the law against quote-unquote effeminate men came into effect. Now, I don't know when. Some articles are saying, yeah, this is already in effect. Some are saying it's coming into effect. A little unclear on where it actually sits, but it's definitely sounds like this is happening. And also, the Chinese government has approved 0 games in the last 2 months.
Which is strictly speaking not abnormal. That does happen from time to time. So it's not that these two things are joined at the hip as far as reasoning goes, but they are correlating in some way, shape, or form. There is some correlation there, and it's mostly due to the fact that every once in a while the board of the game approval thing, which is all run by inter-party members, sometimes they shuffle some people around. Sometimes people get promoted or excommunicated and they get disappeared. Just normal stuff that happens in any like normal government thing. It's just like your small like local hometown scenarios. It's like, well, the council member like one's out, so the farm is been like plowed over the next day, and then nobody's heard of them, and then all of the references to them existing in any like previous paperwork, books, or like anything for the past 20 years has been completely scrubbed. All the images of them standing next to all the other council members have just been vanished, and they just don't exist anymore. They never did. No, what are you talking about? There was always 7 people on the council, not 8 or 9. I'm being a little facetious and a little exaggeratory, but it's stuff like this. And again, it really comes back to the hypocrisy because we expect this from the CCP, but what we should be expecting from the journalists and the people who get up and wave their arms, every time that an attractive video game character becomes like too appreciated by the masses, they're silent on this, and they'll continue to be silent on this. It's disgusting.
Two-faced.
Well, if history is of any, I mean there are countries in the world that have certain restrictions that the big companies, they just go along with, such as in certain places no female protagonists are allowed, and they just go along with that so they can host their esports events and do the things. And this is one of the bigger one. I mean, it's huge though. China is probably one of the bigger markets in the world.
So, Mooney, if you want to get to some comments here in a second, I just want to say that it's like, it's like we always support freedom of choice. Like you have to, like you get to a point in your life where it's like it doesn't matter what you like or not. If you don't like artists painting with a blue-green brush or whatever, like, and I'm just using that as a ridiculous point of example. It's like, if you can't respect at least other people's points of view, you end up with tyranny. Mm-hmm. And like we see this here, and again, the people that call us out, it's so funny. It's like there's a very prominent, famous journalist who has us blocked because we called into question whether or not he had genuine interest in supporting a studio and helping things like be better. Or was he just in it for the money? It's like we called him out on that and he blocked us, and that's very funny because we'll say, we support 100% the rights of anybody especially minorities, especially people, that are not air quotes normal as far as like, LGBT stuff goes, all across the world.
Yeah, not the best word to use.
There's not a lot of people who will say that to China's face, because a certain Bloomberg doesn't want to lose a big contract, doesn't want to get banned, doesn't want to get targeted by the CCP. So none of these people who stand up and become very angry at how dare the bloody blahs bring their bloody blahs to the game. It's like, well, turns out that if you just swap out a few of those bloody blahs, turns out that your company is willing to back whatever a big country says to back, just so that you can make more money in your sales. So yeah, to a one Mr. Jason Schreier, bite me. I support a free Hong Kong, free Tibet, and gay rights in China. And I bet you will never say that on your Twitter so long as you work at Bloomberg. So bite me.
Coward.
You've been called out, Jason, because you're clearly listening to this. But absolutely. I agree. He, He probably won't,
in the chat says no freedom. Does an open world count as freedom?
I mean, how do you, if you could have an open world, I'm sure you could have an open world game in China, as long as it just, you have to strictly conform to their sense of the government's sense of morality. I want to make it clear what we're talking about. It's the government's sense of morality, not that all Chinese people, of course, agree with that or support that, or that their culture is some kind of monolith, because it's not. I mean, yeah, what about gay people in China?
Right.
Like, are you going to, are these companies going to try to support their fans in China who don't adhere to the government's approved way of being? Are they going to? No, they're not. That's the answer.
China removed, I think it was like 40% of their movies and shows, and they came down like a hammer.
Oh yeah, they're cracking down on.
So hard.
It's not just games. They're cracking down on everything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're cracking down. Oh, sorry. They're cracking down on actual movie stars for being just too influential and being too popular, because nobody could be more popular than they are. They're the government. They have to be popular. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so Psycho Spartan Chick in the chat is asking, is China allowing Dune to be shown? Arturo's replied, I believe that China will not show the Dune movie. And I'm inclined to agree with that, because it's like, it's just, it inspires too much thought.
Mm-hmm.
It lets people think, but we can't have people think. They need to just go along with the party line, apparently. It's disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Moon has strong feelings about this, probably because her family's from Hong Kong. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Heck.
Shout out to our Hong Kong listeners, by the way, if there's any of you tuning into this show.
Hey guys.
Any of you still alive?
We miss you.
Oh, dark, very dark. A lot of you in the chat are saying you're not surprised anymore by what China's doing. No, and that's the thing.
No, it's sad.
I'm not surprised either. The question is, what are game companies going to do now? Are they just going to go along with it and put the hypocrisy that they have been trying to quietly engage in, just put it on full display now? Is that what they're going to do?
Because there's all this signaling that's going on over here, and yet there's all these atrocities being committed by this group, and they're not saying boo.
Yep.
Like, what the heck? Like, do you guys actually stand for what you're saying, or are you just following the money? I think it's the latter. Like, heck.
All right. Well, I think that about covers it. And I think we'll wrap it up a little bit early tonight. I know usually we go for an hour. It's been 45 minutes, but I think on that note we'll just we will we'll wrap it up there. Just because I feel like that, I don't know, to try and fill another 15 minutes on that topic is not really, it's not really positive.
Yeah,
not really.
Let's talk about games.
Yeah, well, I mean, if either of you have anything else you want to talk about here at the end of the show.
I want to play more Wildermyth.
Yeah?
Oh my gosh, I've been having so much fun with that game. Also, I'm kind of terrible at the tactics a bit. I'm stuck in this one part because I was like, oh, do we all rush in or should we flank them? I was like, flanking them sounds like a good idea. It was kind of a bad idea. Now my whole party is split up, but the dialogue is hilarious. I really like the character creation in it. You can just roll randomly, and like depending on like the type of personality you give like each character, it affects the dialogue that rolls through the game. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Also, spooky games because it's Halloween month.
Yeah, Halloween's coming up.
Spooky games. I got Little Nightmares 2. Oh my gosh, I played the demo. I really like it, so I'm gonna play that sometime. Come get freaked out with me. Yes.
So we're gonna do some Halloween streams leading up to Halloween.
Who's dressing up?
Moon's gonna dress up and she's gonna play some scary games, and I'm gonna sit back and probably laugh.
Okay, Moon is she's quite a talented cosplayer. She's never put her talents on display here on the channel. There is one video we shot at a convention a couple of years ago, back when conventions were actually happening, where you can briefly see her.
Briefly.
Maybe we'll have to find a screenshot of that. But anyway, she's very talented at this stuff, and I've been hoping that she would, start doing that more for videos and things. Of course, I respect that you're very busy with everything that's going on, but anyway, yeah, she is very talented with all of that kind of a thing.
Spooky games, spooky costumes.
Yeah, do it. You think you'll do that just on the Discord server, or are you going to go live on the channel?
We'll see how it goes.
It's not always how it goes. Grand plans, and then it's like, well, but yeah.
Well, probably I'll do it for like the Saturday streams. And try to do that.
Those are going to keep.
I kind of wanted to do it last weekend, but just so busy, I was trying to like set everything up, and then I messed it up. But it's okay.
It's okay.
I will learn eventually.
I'll make sure you have the right everything next time. You've probably been noticing if you watch the Saturday streams that I haven't been present for those, and I'm actually glad that Moon's been able to take more of a front and center stage on these Saturday streams. That's a lot of fun. I guess it was that little push she needed to start streaming more, but
yes.
But yeah, absolutely. Also, it has to do with I had to make some decisions regarding my schedule and my mental health, so I decided to step back from the Saturday streams, at least for the time being. But who knows what'll happen in the future? Things are constantly changing around here, so we're not going to set anything in stone because things can change like that, as they did a couple weeks ago for us. so yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for the show tonight. And thank you for the great discussion. If you want to talk more about any of these things, of course, check out the Discord server. If you're listening after the fact, leave comments below. Slam that like button. Subscribe here and on the main channel. Appreciate all of that good stuff. I want to give a special shout out and thank you to all of our Patreon supporters and channel members who help to make this content possible. You've seen their names appearing in glittering gold at the top of the screen because we want to constantly thank the people who have been behind us now for years, and both the financial supporters, but also just everyone who listens to our content and likes and shares and comments and all of that stuff. That's amazing to me that you just want to sit down and listen to the three of us talk about whatever's on our mind. It blows my mind that we actually have any audience at all, but that we have such a great support team on Patreon is amazing as well. But and the community that we built on Discord, it's just incredible. So thank you so much, everybody, and we will talk to you again very soon. Take care.